In the shining metal halls of the Galactic warship Vanguard, thousands of feet walked every day. Boots clicked, doors hissed open, orders were shouted, and in the middle of all this noise, one man was always silent. Eli, the human janitor. Nobody paid attention to him. Nobody asked him questions. He just walked with his cleaning cart, eyes down, mopping the floors. He wore a plain gray uniform and an old earth cap pulled low over his face. He smelled of cleaning fluid and silence. To the aliens on board, he was nothing, a joke. The humans send us trash collectors now, a tall green officer once said. Maybe he cleans better than they fight. Another laughed. Eli never answered. He just smiled, a slow, tired smile, and kept mopping. He had been there for 3 years, quiet, always working. He knew every hallway, every power cable, every control panel. He never went into restricted zones, never caused trouble, never spoke much. Some thought he couldn't even understand the alien languages. But Admiral Varn, leader of the Vanguard, noticed something one day. It happened in Hangar Bay 9. Eli was cleaning near a storage pod when a small explosion went off. A cargo bot dropped a crate, and it shattered. Shards flew in every direction. One sharp metal piece tore through Ellie's collar. The Admiral saw it from a high deck above. Just for a second, the janitor's neck was exposed. And there it was. A scar. Not just any scar. It was shaped like a black wing, twisted and burned into the skin. Varn's eyes narrowed. His heartbeat changed. That mark, it shouldn't exist anymore. That mark belonged to the Terran Blackguard, an ancient human warrior unit that had vanished long ago. According to Galactic records, the Blackguard was wiped out in the siege of Eros. Not one survived. That was over 40 years ago. Varn remembered them. He fought them once. One human Blackguard could take down an entire platoon of alien elites. No one, not even Earth, spoke of them now. It was said their kind had been erased from history. But now, here on his ship, was a man mopping floors. With the Blackguard mark on his neck, the Admiral gave a silent order. Track him, quietly. From that day, things began to change slowly, silently. Some security footage of Eli disappeared. Some cameras stopped working near Hall 12. One low-rank spy followed Eli into a storage bay and never came out. When the Admiral asked about it, he was told the janitor said he never saw him. Stranger still, the Admiral found an old file, Earth's final Blackguard mission report. It was redacted, almost everything blacked out. But at the end, one sentence remained: if one survives, the war is not over. Was this janitor the last one? Varn didn't know yet. But something deep inside him, a warrior's instinct, told him the truth. This man wasn't just here to mop floors. This man was watching, waiting, maybe hiding, maybe protecting. One night, the Admiral stood alone on the upper command deck, staring out into space. He thought of all the battles he had seen, all the warriors he had fought, all the enemies he had feared. But none of them scared him now. Only the janitor did. Because if Eli really was Blackguard, and if he had survived all this time in silence, then war wasn't finished. It was just cleaning itself up. The image of that scar on Ellie's neck burned in his mind like a forgotten war drum. He had seen it only for a second, but 1 second was enough. That wasn't just a wound. It was a symbol, a warning. Only Blackguard humans carried that mark. And the Blackguard were gone, dead, buried. Or were they? Varn sat alone in his command chamber, a cold blue light shining from the screen in front of him. He typed a restricted code 1 even his top officers didn't know. File, Blackguard. Level Omega list appeared. Every name was blacked out, except one. Status, unknown. Last sighting, classified, mission 9X. Below that, 3 words made the Admiral's hands tremble. Do not engage. Across the ship, Eli moved like a shadow. He cleaned, yes, always cleaning. But his eyes were never still. They scanned door panels, reflected on polished walls, watched cameras that were watching him. He noticed new guards posted at corners. He noticed drones that floated near then suddenly turned away. He knew they were testing him, and that meant only one thing. Someone remembered. At 0400 hours, the power flickered. Just a second. Just enough. In that second, a figure moved through the dark. Zoroth assassin. 8 limbs, cloaked skin, eyes that could see heat, silent, deadly, hidden in the crew quarters. The alien's target, not the Admiral, not the officers. It was Eli, the janitor. He was marked for elimination. Ellie's room was small. 1 bed, 1 chair, no windows, no weapons. He sat at the edge of his bed, head bowed, holding a torn cloth earth military gray. When the lights went out, he didn't move. When the door slid open without a sound, he didn't look up. When the assassin struck, blades flying, he was already gone. The fight lasted only 11 seconds. No screams, no alarms, just silence, and then the sound of a mop sliding across metal floor again. At 0500 hours, a guard found something strange. A body, or what was left of it, shredded armor, melted weapons, the floor wiped clean, except for a single, marked out a Blackwing, drawn in oil. The Admiral arrived in seconds. He stood in silence. His officer whispered, "What does it mean?" Varn replied, without blinking, "It means we're not ready." Later that day, the Admiral walked through the halls alone. The crew gave him space, unsure what was happening. Rumors flew. Something is wrong. Security lockdown soon. Was there a murder? But Varn had only one goal. He found Eli near the fuel bay, mopping up spilled gel. The janitor didn't look up. Varn said quietly, "You should not be here." Eli paused, then slowly stood. His voice was calm, low, and full of memory. "Neither should they." And then he walked away, mop still in hand. The Admiral stood frozen, his blood cold, because he finally understood. This janitor was not just hiding. He was waiting. The janitor came early that day, before sunrise, before the alarms, before the crew even woke up. Eli moved through the silent corridors like he was part of the ship itself. His mop glided over the metal floor, cleaning a path only he walked. The warship Vanguard was still asleep, but danger wasn't. Deep inside the lower maintenance levels, something was wrong. A camera flickered. A security bot stopped responding. Then, the silence was broken by one sound. A soft thud. A body hitting the floor. Officer Keela, a young alien lieutenant, was the first to find the scene. She gasped. One of the Admiral's private guards slashed across the neck. No sign of the attacker. No alarm had gone off. Only one thing stood out. A janitor's mop, standing upright, wet, freshly used. But the floor, spotless, even the blood trail was gone. Keela looked around. She checked the cameras, but the feed was missing. Nothing, only static. Her hands shook as she whispered to her communicator, "Commander, we have a ghost." Meanwhile, Eli stood in the waste bay, washing his hands, his face calm, his shirt still damp from cleaning. Behind him, a steel drawer slowly closed with a quiet hiss inside it. A broken alien dagger wrapped in cloth. He heard footsteps. Heavy, fast. The Admiral's top enforcer, Commander Rusk, stormed in with a squad. "Janitor," he shouted, "step away from the sink." Eli turned, blinked slowly, and asked, "Did I miss a spot?" Rusk marched forward, grabbed Eli by the collar and froze. His eyes locked on the scar, that strange black wing on the human's neck. Rusk let go, suddenly unsure. "This area is off limits now," he growled. "Return to your quarters." Eli nodded once. "Of course. I was just cleaning up the mess." But his voice, it wasn't soft anymore. It was sharp, cold, like steel just before it cuts. Later that day, the Admiral reviewed the security report. One sentence stood out. The target was neutralized before reaching the bridge. But who neutralized it? Only 2 life forms were present in that zone. One dead, one still cleaning. Varn leaned back in his chair. He looked at a tiny photo on his desk, an old war photo. Soldiers in black armor. One of them had the same tired eyes, the same half smile, the same scar on his neck. Could it be him? Could this janitor really be the last of Earth's most feared warriors? If so, why was he here? Why now? And most of all, what was he waiting for? Meanwhile, deep in the storage deck, Eli stood alone. He opened a hidden panel behind a water pipe. Inside was a black chip, glowing faintly. He placed it against his neck. A soft voice spoke in old Earth code. Last mission. Not forgotten. Watch. The stars, they are moving. Ellie's eyes sharpened. The enemy thought Earth was silent. They would soon remember why that was a mistake. Something was off. The janitor was always there. Until he wasn't. At first, the crew didn't notice. But over the next few days, strange things began to happen. Patrol drones went missing. Cameras lost feed. One guard claimed he saw Eli enter. A locked room and disappeared. When they checked the room later, it was empty. No sign of entry. No logs, no proof. It was like Eli had ghosted through the walls. Admiral Varn called for silence. No public reports. No crew announcements. But in secret, he formed a Black Ops surveillance team. 6 members. Elite trackers. Best on the ship. Their only task, follow the janitor. Learn who he is. Report everything. They called the mission Ghost Protocol. They never came back. For hours into surveillance, all 6 trackers were gone. Their gear was found scattered in a supply tunnel, clean, polished, not a drop of blood. Only one clue remained. A mop, placed upright, its head glowing faintly with plasma dust. Zorath. Tech, and a tiny message scratched into the metal wall. Don't follow ghosts. You might become one. The Admiral didn't panic. He grew quiet. He had seen war. He had seen monsters. But this was something else. He looked at the ship's map. A new pattern formed. Eli moved with purpose, like he knew the ship better than the engineers. He wasn't just cleaning. He was marking paths. Why? What was he preparing for? And then came the signal. At 3:17 Galactic time, a silent transmission hit the Vanguard's secret channel. Not from Earth. Not from any known fleet. Just 5 words. The janitor is not alone. That night, Admiral Varn entered the janitor's section. Alone, no guards, no weapons. Eli was there, as always, sitting quietly, drinking old Earth coffee from a metal mug. Varn spoke first. You're not here to clean. You're here to wait. Eli nodded. Varn continued. Waiting for what? Eli looked up slowly. And in that moment, just for a heartbeat, Varn saw it. Behind Ellie's eyes, centuries of war, loss, fire, training. Not a janitor, not a man. A weapon sealed in human skin. Eli finally answered. Quiet, controlled. For the first shot, Admiral. I'm here for the first shot. And just like that, alarms blared. Red lights flashed, enemy ships approaching. Unidentified fleet entering the system. The Admiral didn't even turn to check. He knew. It had begun. The man mopping his floors was no longer hiding. He was standing by, waiting to strike. Asterisk. Deep inside the Vanguard, past the fuel tanks and power cores, there was a hallway nobody used. The lights always flickered. The doors were sealed. Even the cleaning bots avoided it. They called it Sector 7, Cold Deck. No one had keys to it. No one knew its purpose. Except Eli. One night, during a quiet shift, Sub-Lieutenant Ren, an eager alien officer, got curious. He was young, bold, and wanted to prove himself. He had been watching the janitor closely. He saw Eli slip into Sector 7 using a strange code 1 that didn't exist in the ship's system. The door opened. And Eli vanished inside. Ren waited. Then followed. What he found behind the door didn't make sense. Not storage, not trash, not machines. The room was cold, silent, full of old Earth items, strange armor, cracked weapons, a dusty Earth flag pinned to the wall. Everything looked ancient and dangerous. In the center was a black capsule. At HUMMED. It pulsed. Ren stepped forward, eyes wide. What is this? Then a voice whispered behind him. Not for you. Ren turned sharply. Eli stood there, not smiling, not holding a mop, but something else, a blade, folded, hidden in his arm. What is this place? Ren asked, his voice shaking. Eli stepped closer. Calm, quiet, powerful. It's memory, he said, of a time before this galaxy forgot what humans are. Ren tried to back away. I'll report this to the Admiral. Ellie's eyes locked onto his. No, you won't. The door closed. The lights went out. 3 hours later, Admiral Varn received a report. Sub-Lieutenant Ren is missing. Last seen near Cold Deck. Varn didn't ask questions. He just stared at the security footage. No footage showed Eli entering. No footage showed Ren leaving. But the next day, the hallway had been freshly cleaned, spotless. And in the corner, written in tiny white dust, were 3 words, "Stay out, please." Meanwhile, far above the ship, in the dark sky beyond the stars, enemy ships were watching, cloaked, silent, waiting. The Zorath High Command had sent their elite scouts. Their mission was clear: eliminate the Blackguard. He cannot rise again. But something unexpected happened. Their signal was jammed. Their cloaking failed. And one by one, their ships began to vanish from radar. No weapons were fired. No attacks detected. Only silence. And then, a single message appeared on the enemy's communication feed. Earth remembers. Back in Sector 7, Eli opened the black capsule. Inside was his old armor, damaged, faded, but alive with energy. He touched it gently. Time to stop mopping. He whispered. Space around the warship Vanguard grew dark. Not night dark. War dark. Enemy ships hovered in the distance, silent, still, cold like ghosts. The Zorath Empire had arrived, but they didn't fire. They were scanning, watching, searching for him. The janitor. In the control room, Admiral Varn stood alone. He stared at the enemy fleet. His officers asked, "Should we raise shields, fire first?" Varn said nothing. His eyes weren't on the enemy. They were on a blinking screen. One message had come through. Not from the fleet, not from Earth Command. From old Earth Protocol system that hadn't sent signals in 42 years. It said, "He is the last whisper. Protect him." No one on the Vanguard understood. But Varn did. He whispered the name to himself. Like a forgotten song, whisper. It was a Terran code name. A silent warrior. A killer hidden in plain sight. Most believed it was only a myth. But now, the myth was mopping floor 1 to be. Meanwhile, Eli stood in the dark corner of the ship. Not hiding, just watching. His armor was sealed beneath his skin now. Tiny implants under his veins. Triggers in his fingers. He had lived with it so long, he didn't need to suit up anymore. He was the weapon, and he was tired. Tired of pretending. Tired of being laughed at. Tired of waiting. But the signal from Earth had changed everything. It meant the others might still be alive. The mission was still active, and the galaxy wasn't safe yet. Suddenly, the Vanguard's main lights went red. Enemy. Ship detected. Boarding parties launched. Breaches on decks 4, 7, and 9. Sirens screamed. Troops rushed. Chaos began. But on deck 7, where the breach hit hardest, something unusual happened. The Zorath commandos expected no resistance. They had numbers. They had plasma blades. They had toxin suits. What they didn't expect was a janitor, standing calmly, holding a broken broomstick. The first attacker laughed. "Move, human. Die quiet." Eli didn't move. He whispered 2 words in old Zorath language, "Your mistake." In 15 seconds, 6 commandos were on the floor. Not dead. Paralyzed. Not a single shot fired. Not a single drop of blood spilled. Just precision. Speed. Silence, like a whisper. Admiral Varn watched the camera feed. He saw Eli move between enemies like shadow in wind. No hesitation. No mercy. His officers were speechless. "Sir," one asked, voice shaking. "What is he?" The Admiral replied, quietly, "The reason we still exist." After the battle, Eli returned to his corner. Calm, silent. He picked up his mop again. The same broken broomstick. And started cleaning the floor. As if nothing had happened. But now no one looked at him the same way. And the enemy, they had only one question left. If this is Earth's janitor, what are their soldiers like? The Zorath fleet didn't retreat. They doubled in number. Ships blocked the stars. Their red lights glowed like hunting eyes. They didn't speak, didn't send warnings. They had one goal: destroy the Whisper. Inside the Vanguard, the crew was silent. Weapons were low, shields half broken. The command center flickered with power surges. But in the middle of the war room stood a janitor. His gray uniform was torn. His mop was broken. But his eyes, sharp, calm, unreadable, were locked on the stars. Admiral Varn approached him. "You know why they're here?" he said. Eli didn't answer. Instead, he walked to the center console. entered a code no one had ever seen. The ship's lights dimmed. A hidden panel opened. Inside, a round crystal disk, glowing faint blue. It was marked with Earth's most ancient war seal. The crew gasped. The Admiral's jaw tightened. No one was supposed to have that, he whispered. Eli replied, voice low, they thought Earth was weak. They forgot we don't shout before we strike. Outside, the enemy began to fire. Zoroth missiles streaked toward the vanguard. Suddenly, Eli pressed his palm to the war seal. The ship lit up from within. Old systems activated. Ones buried for decades. Terran protocols, Blackguard defense modes. The vanguard changed. Plasma barriers flared to life. Turrets rotated faster than ever before. A silent beacon was sent into deep space. And then boom. One enemy ship exploded. Then another. Then 5 more. No weapons from the vanguard fired. The attacks came from nowhere, from shadows, from stealth Earth ships, once thought destroyed, now reactivated by Ellie's signal. The Zoroth fleet began to panic. Earth forces detected, unknown tech, unknown weapons, but it was too late. The whisper had awakened the silent armada, a fleet that had waited cloaked for over 40 years. Waiting for the whisper's signal, waiting for their janitor. Back on the vanguard, the crew watched in awe. Eli stood tall, mop replaced by a plasma baton, old, scarred, but glowing with deadly light. He walked to the Admiral and saluted. Mission complete, sir, he said. Varn looked at him, silent for a long time. Then he returned the salute. To the man who saved us all, Varn said. The man we almost ignored. In the days that followed, songs were sung across colonies, stories told, statues raised. But the man they praised, he didn't stay. He vanished quietly just like he came. Some say he returned to Earth, some say he watches from the stars, and some say he's cleaning another ship, waiting for the next war.